Welcome to your WWE Survivor Series 2024 War Games review. We just sat here and watched the pay-per-view together. It just ended seconds ago. The closing show, post-show video package is currently airing. We are then going to go into the media scrum, and I suppose if there's any sort of last-minute swerve or appearance by The Rock or something like that, they might cut back to the arena, and we might see that in a minute, but it looks like the ending of War Games did not see any major swerves or heel turns or anything like that take place. The main part of the War Games match and the story, the main story beat that was told was the dynamic between Punk and Roman not getting along at first, then saving each other in the match and leading to the handshake at the end, and all of the bloodline posing with the ones, with Punk doing this. They did this shot a couple of different times, one in the entranceway and one in the ring. So when they were all leaving the ring, individually hugging Paul Heyman one at a time, you really felt like something could happen. We could see The Rock show up. We could see Punk attack Roman or something like that. We didn't get it, and the show has gone off the air. I do want to know what you guys think of the show, though, in the chat, because I think tonight's show was not a bad show, but not one of the better War Games that I can remember. It was really cool seeing Punk in it. It was really cool seeing Punk and Roman and Punk interact with a lot of these guys in there. But that was the best part of the show to me. The rest of the matches, the 3 title matches that we saw were all good, but we get good matches all the time. And the women's War Games match didn't really stand out to me a ton. It was a very, very sloppy, boring, slow looking beginning to the match. And then they kind of finished strong, which was great. So overall, I can't really rank this as one of my top War Games events ever because we didn't see anything that crazy other than what we're seeing right now at the end of this video package with CM Punk and Roman Reigns shaking hands to close the show. And CM Punk told Paul Heyman, when I want that favor, I'm coming for it. So it's definitely going to have something to do with maybe a WrestleMania or a title match or something like that. And I think eventually we're going to have to see a Roman Reigns versus CM Punk match. And that could be what they are setting up for WrestleMania. Shell Shock has got a C+, kind of a missable show. I hate to agree with you, but maybe you're right. I mean, if I would have not been home tonight to watch this live and I caught the replay, I probably wouldn't have been like, oh man, I really wish I would have seen that live. It was a somewhat missable show, but still, I enjoyed the Punk and Roman Reigns dynamic. So we'll kind of talk about it here because I didn't have any notes tonight, but it was only a 5-match show. We watched it together. I can pretty much remember most of what we saw tonight, but we opened up with the women's War Games match, and I got to say, this one was not very good. I think it was off to a bad start when we had to sit through 10 of these entrances. Was just way too much. And I will shout out, though, Nia Jax, who I thought she looked great. One of the better looks that she's had with the hair, how big and huge her hair was and long. And I liked her gear. She looked really good. But the babyface team, on paper, vastly outweighed the heel team. I mean, you've got a decorated babyface side with, probably upwards of 15 championships between them all, going up against a heel team that, other than Nia and Liv Morgan, is relatively weak, even though I picked the heel team to win. By the way, I should say, in my predictions, I went 4-1. The only match I got wrong was the women's match. I kind of thought the heels would find a way to steal it. And plus, I was trying to balance out a heel and a babyface team in the War Games matches because I had Roman's team winning in the main event. Like I said, the beginning of the match, Nia Jax opened it. And the first, I think it was like Bayley and Nia Jax and Naomi. And the beginning of the match was just so slow and so sloppy and so clunky. And when they started just repeating the same shit every time there was a new entrant, the first thing they did was run right to the ring and look under there. And they all had to bring in their individual weapons when it was only trash cans and kendo sticks and the same shit we always see. Somebody did bring in a toilet seat, so that was something different. We got a fire extinguisher in there as well. But seeing each of the ladies have to do the same thing, come out, look under the ring for whatever it is they're looking for, instead of one of them just getting everything thrown in the ring and being done with it. They all each have to look under the ring to each pick out their individual toys, which was really annoying. And when it came to the chair shots and stuff, like, I'm all for safety. I'm all for protecting yourself in the ring, but these chair shots throughout this match, especially in the beginning, were being delivered with literally negative effort. I mean, it was just like tap, tap. You ever remember the Gerald Briscoe chair shot on Austin? I think it was the Survivor Series Deadly Game, like how bad that was. Most of these chair shots were 10 times worse than that. And it was getting kind of frustrating because I'm not one who just needs violence and needs to see people and wrestlers and athletes put their bodies on the line. I'm not like that. But you got to give it something. You got to put a little bit on those chair shots. You got to put something behind them. Otherwise, they just look pathetic. And a lot of the spots in the match were just pathetic, and it took forever for me to give a fuck about this match. Finally, when everybody got in there, it got a little bit more fun. Once Io Sky gets in there, you know she's going to be a ton of fun. Rhea Ripley, my God, she just looked so fucking hot in that gear she had on. She had this crazy Beast Mortos mask on complete with horns and everything, which was a weapon. If she headbutts you with that, you can be impaled through your cheekbone or jaw or something like that. She would take it off during the match just as a way to say F you to Liv Morgan, and she put her down. It was a top rope riptide through the table to Morgan for the win that did the heels in and gave the win to the babyface team, and it was a good, strong finish. And Rhea Ripley was really, I think, the star in this. She looked amazing, and loved that she was the one that got the final fall there on Liv Morgan. And now you have to wonder when we are going to get that final payoff. Liv Morgan defending against Rhea Ripley, if they try to get that done on Saturday night's main event. I'm not even sure if that's already booked or if that's going to be a Royal Rumble thing or a First Raw on Netflix thing. I think Saturday night's main event or First Raw on Netflix needs to be the landing spot for Rhea Ripley getting that championship back and maybe taking it into WrestleMania. Otherwise, she's going to have to win it back at WrestleMania. And if she does that, that's going to have to put her as the winner of the Rumble or the Chamber. Maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe Ripley can just win the belt back and then successfully defend it at Mania is what I would like to see. But strong finish, even though I think it was a weak War Games match overall. Io Sky did do her trash can spot. She had a specially painted purple and gold trash can under the ring. She retrieved it, brought it to the top, eventually put it on her head, and delivered a moonsault in stereo with Tiffany on the opposite side of the ring, hitting a swanton on a group of wrestlers in either ring. So that was an okay spot, but still, I think nothing tops that. And that was done during COVID, right? Nothing tops that Io spot with the trash can. I loved that. When seeing that for the first time, it's hard to top that. So even though the moonsault with the trash can on her head was cool looking, it wasn't enough to make me think this is one of the greatest War Games matches of all time. Io Sky especially has definitely been in better, as this was her 6th War Games match of all time, leading the way for the women because she's been involved in these things ever since they were in NXT. So after the women's War Games match, which took up the first hour of the show, that whole first match was 1 hour. And then we went into the United States Championship match. LA Knight defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. I like this new Nakamura. He's back on TV, but a lot of fans have been kind of like lukewarm or sour on it because Nakamura really hasn't done anything of any heavy significance in quite some time, and bringing him back here, a lot of fans felt like this was just them bringing him back onto TV again with no real direction. So I was having trouble understanding the logic behind that. I'm like, why would WWE just bring him back, immediately thrust him in a title match just for him to lose? Where do you go from here? So I almost felt like he had to win the championship. He got a big win last night on SmackDown, which some fans were complaining. I can't believe 2024 Nakamura beat Andrade. I'm like, he has a championship match tomorrow. What's hard to believe about that? So I kind of felt like people were kind of dissing Shinsuke. And I think I don't know how many, but I'm probably one of the only few YouTubers who picked Nakamura to win in my predictions. I said on Wednesday, I said I would probably have him win unless he loses here and wins in the rematch or something. I don't know why you would even put Nakamura in a program for the U.S. title right out of the gate if you didn't plan on him winning it. So maybe this is just some new adversity for LA Knight, or maybe they have different plans for him heading into Mania next year. I don't know. But I feel like we could see a situation where LA Knight wins the title back. But this was pretty much a clean win, was it not? He hit him with the Kinshasa for the win. I don't think any foreign objects or interference was used or anything like that. LA Knight was a bit sloppy. He came out early, dropped the U.S. title on the outside of the ring, had to go retrieve it. So he felt a little bit off. And Nakamura is your new U.S. champion. And I actually think that was the right call to make, because otherwise I don't know what the point of the match would be, So congrats to Nakamura, new United States champion. The next match wasn't hard to predict. Braun Breaker defending his Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat against Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus. Sheamus, that Intercontinental Championship has been eluding him. It's all he needs to complete the Grand Slam. And I would love to see Sheamus do it. I believe he will. But this would not be the match to do it in. If Sheamus finally achieves this goal, I think it needs to be on a big show. Either an international show in Ireland somewhere or WrestleMania. And maybe have WrestleMania finally this year, coming up, be the year that he wins the Intercontinental Championship from whoever the champion will be. And it could still be Braun Breaker. Sheamus beats Breaker, and then you move Breaker into world title program after that, and Sheamus finally wins the Intercontinental Championship. I would want it to happen on a stage where it can really be celebrated. And I just think here in a triple threat match announced 5 days before the pay-per-view, this is not the platform for Sheamus to finally get this monkey off his back, finally win this championship. Plus, Breaker just won the championship back, and if Sheamus would have won here, what that would have done to the internet is made them question why Breaker lost the title more than celebrating that Sheamus won the title. So it was just a bad idea all around to give the belt to Sheamus here. Braun Breaker had to retain here, and he did. I think he pinned Sheamus, right, for the finish after he completely broke Ludwig Kaiser in half with one of the most awesome spears I've ever seen. Winds up spearing Sheamus right after that, and a not-so-good spear, and pinning him for the win. But it was still a good match. It was fun. They were all over the place on the outside of the ring, into the crowd a little bit. It was definitely a fun one and a good one, and Breaker retains the Intercontinental Championship. I did enjoy that match. I also enjoyed Gunther and Damian Priest. I'm a big Damian Priest fan. I just like him. I didn't think he was going to win here, but Priest and Gunther, I like their dynamic together because they're just two badasses, similar roads. They were both, chubby independent wrestlers who got themselves in tremendous shape and are both very dominant, ass-kicking badasses, no nonsense. What you see is what you get type of guys. And it's nice to see that in Gunther as a heel and a babyface, to where, as a heel, Gunther doesn't have to be too chicken shit. He just kicks ass like Brock did. And as a babyface, Priest doesn't have to get too cute with nursery rhymes or whatever. He's virtually the same. When he was a heel running in Judgment Day, he's got the same personality that he has now. So I like that, and that's why I like Damian Priest so much. So I was hoping here that if Damian Priest did lose, that he was protected somewhat. And he was. Gunther tossed Priest on the outside of the ring. He's laying there. The referee is distracted with Gunther. In comes Finn Balor from the crowd, gets on the steps, and delivers a coup de grace to Priest, who's laying on the floor. And what was also cool about this is after that happened, Gunther sees Balor out there, gets out of the ring, and nails Balor. So Gunther sees him, he's like, I don't need your help, asshole. And he kicks Balor right in the face and then gets Priest back in the ring and hits him with his power bombs. And then he locked in the choke because Priest had injured his shoulder earlier on in the match. Gunther was focusing on that. And so he locked him in, I don't know, some sort of arm submission, and Priest passed out. So they kind of protected him there too. He didn't get pinned. He didn't tap out. He passed out, and he had outside interference. So that's kind of all I wanted here. I just didn't, as much as I think Gunther could definitely beat Priest clean and everything, I don't want Priest to go the route of Kevin Owens. I don't want Damian Priest to go 8 years in between world championship runs. And I'm satisfied with the way Priest lost because I knew he couldn't win here. So if he won, or if he lost, I just didn't want it to be, too damaging to his spot. And I don't think it was at all. As a matter of fact, I thought we were going to get a little handshake or show respect because I think the way they were playing it in the match was that I don't think Gunther saw Balor hit the coup de grace on Priest. He kind of turned around after the fact, saw Balor out there, and then hit him. So I think Gunther won without the knowledge that Balor was out there interfering. So weeks back, we did hear that Priest and Gunther was also rumored for Saturday night's main event. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we got the confirmation of Owens and Cody. So if they want to have 2 championship matches, they could do a deal on Raw on Monday, which we're going to be here live to watch. I'll post a link up tonight or tomorrow, so keep a lookout for that. But on Monday, we could see Gunther be like, I did not know that Balor interfered. I want to give you another title match because I can't move on as a professional unless I know I can beat you 100% fairly. And since, I had some help that I didn't ask for, I'd like to give you another title shot. Maybe they book it for Saturday night's main event. And that's where Gunther, wins clean or something. Maybe they do that, but I don't think you need 2 championship matches or for the men anyway, on Saturday night's main event. I don't think you really need that, but they did open up the door for Priest to have maybe another shot. And Saturday night's main event isn't the only landing spot. We do have Monday Night Raw kicking off the new year, moving to Netflix, and that could be another landing spot for a match like that. Gunther retains over Damian Priest in a match that I thought was pretty good. Very, very solid. And then, of course, that leaves us with the main event. Men's War Games match, Bloodline 2.0, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed taking on Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk. So Bloodline 2.0 comes out together. Of course, the babyfaces have individual entrances. I think Punk came out second or third. Roman came out fourth. Jey Uso came out last because he was starting the match. When Punk came out, he pie-faced Bronson Reed through the cage, and that fucking Jacob Fatu lost his mind trying to literally eat through the bars to get to CM Punk. Punk and Jimmy and Roman and Sammy all go into the cage together, and the last person to make his entrance is Jey Uso, who does one of his through the crowd entrances in the hallway, comes all the way down, makes his big entrance, and he starts things off. Now, a couple of cool points that happened here. I forgot. I guess Jimmy comes out next for the baby faces, and then when it's seemingly Punk's turn, I think. Yeah, it's Punk's turn, or at least it's the baby faces team's turn. The clock goes down to 0. Punk thinks he's coming out. Roman stops him and sends Sammy. And I was immediately like, that's going to be trouble. And that was one thing I've been saying in terms of the story, in the context of the story with Roman Reigns, is that he needs to stop thinking he's still in charge, because they're all there for him to support him. It's a team thing now. It's not him just barking orders at everybody. And if I was one of those guys like Sammy or somebody else, I would stand up to him and say, no, this isn't like the old days. We are not coming back to you for you to abuse us. We are all on equal level now. You don't boss us around. You don't tell us what to fucking do. So when he did that and made Sammy go, I'm like, first of all, why is Sammy doing that? And second of all, why is Punk allowing that to happen? So what I was hoping they would do when it was Punk's turn, after the clock went down again and it was his turn to come out, for him to say, no, I'm not going out there. You go, motherfucker. I'm going last. And just sit down and just CM Punk crisscross applesauce right there in the cage and refuse to go to the ring. And that would force Roman to oh, shit, I guess I got to go. And then go out there. And that's like Punk's way of making a statement. You do not boss me around, asshole. So instead, when it was the babyface's turn again, Roman wants to come. And then Punk just brushes right by him and speed walks right by him. And he goes instead, leaving leaving Roman in the cage by himself. So Punk enters the match. He grabs the toolbox that we saw in Hell in the Cell, brings it into the match. He's bashing everybody with it. We do see interaction with Punk and Jacob Fatu. Jacob hit him with the big the pop-up Samoan drop, which looked tremendous. But then Solo Sikoa, it's his turn to come out last for the heels. He comes out and he retrieves a chain and a padlock from under the ring. Comes into the ring and padlocks the door closed before Roman Reigns comes out. So now the heels just decimate, the OG Bloodline and CM Punk. Now it's Roman's turn to come out, but he can't get in the cage. He's looking around for ways in. Finally, he winds up just scaling the cage and coming in, taking out all 5 members of the Bad Bloodline. And then, now that he's in the ring, the War Games match starts, and we had a great, just vertical shot of all the team members, one in each ring. Right before that happened, right before we had the big face-off, Roman, after taking out the Bad Bloodline, he goes over into the other ring where all of his team members are, and they're all laid out. And he helps them up, one at a time. First Jay, then Jimmy. He looks down at Punk, walks past him, helps up Sammy, and makes Punk get up on his own. So now Punk and Roman are not getting along. There's a face-off in the ring. They don't look happy with each other, but then they get attacked and the brawl continues. Later on, Jacob Fatu, or is it Bronson Reed? I think it's Bronson Reed, is about to tsunami Roman Reigns through a table from the top of the War Games cage. Bronson Reed, big Bronson Reed, climbs his ass up there, gets to the top. Roman's laid on a table. He jumps to do the tsunami, and CM Punk swoops in and pulls Roman Reigns out of the way. And I'm telling you, in the nick of time. He missed him by a pubic hair. It was so close. That could have been catastrophic for everybody. But Punk pulls Roman Reigns out of the way, and you can see that Roman feels a little bit bad, the remorse on his face, and Punk is down, and he goes over and he helps CM Punk up. And he would also save CM Punk shortly after that, Superman punching maybe Solo before Punk ate a Samoan spike. I forgot what it was, but Roman would repay the favor and save Punk after Punk saved him from the top of the cage tsunami. In the end, it was Solo Sikoa being isolated in the far ring by himself with all of the faces. Roman, Punk, Jimmy and Jay, and Sammy, and everybody hit their finish on him. We got the super kicks. We got 2 Uso splashes. We got a haluva kick. We got a GTS. And we got a spear for the win. I think it was a spear or a Superman punch. Might have been both. To Solo Sikoa for the win. 1, 2, 3. And the baby faces prevail. And then at the end of the match, we're all sitting here watching, wondering if anything's going to happen. Wondering if we're still going to get some sort of a turn, because Paul Heyman was out there. A lot of people were expecting to see The Rock. But I didn't really think that was necessary because there was enough of a dynamic there with Punk and Roman. And they do the big pose where all the OG bloodline have their ones up, but Punk is doing this, and then as they're exiting the ring one at a time, Paul Heyman is hugging each one of them. And when he hugs CM Punk, Punk tells him, when I want this favor, I'm coming for it. And Heyman is like, understood. And then Roman even gives him a nice little hug as well. And then we do another pose at ringside. And then they leave, and the cameras are following him. Punk leaves all the way. He goes all the way to the back, but then comes back, and they do the pose again. And this time when they do the pose, Punk kind of shoves his way in front to do the go to sleep. So he kind of in the spotlight, so to speak. So there's a lot of dynamics still there. I think this is going to result in Paul Heyman repaying that favor to CM Punk by maybe getting him a championship match somehow. Maybe even on his own brand. Maybe Paul Heyman comes to Raw and uses his Paul Heyman powers to negotiate a championship match for CM Punk, or on the behalf of CM Punk, to Adam Pearce. And Pearce grants Punk a title match on the first Raw on Netflix against Gunther, or at the Royal Rumble against Gunther, or something like that. Or maybe Punk waits to cash in that favor when maybe Roman Reigns is champion again. And Punk, wants a title match or something. I don't know. We will have to see. But all in all, not the greatest War Games pay-per-view of all time, but one that had enough intrigue at the end where I'm satisfied. We didn't get a big surprise. We didn't get anything too crazy happening here. And like I said, I think the women's War Games, outside of the finish in the last 5 minutes, was pretty weak. I'm going to give this pay-per-view a C+ grade. B-, somewhere in there is what I'm going to grade it. I'm sorry that there will be no classic watch-along tomorrow because I have a family dinner. So no classic watch-along tomorrow on Sunday, but we will be here Monday night to watch Monday Night Raw together and whatever's going to happen in that New Day reunion. So make sure you're here for that. I will post a link later, and thank you for being here tonight. I wish you guys a great rest of your Saturday evening, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.